Yo, I am back in my onesie. And in this video, I just want to talk about some of the issues I had. I guess with theme, yeah, you'd call it theme. I don't want to get super duper technical here, and you're going to see why in a sec, because the book I'm talking about is Blue Moon, the one I recently reviewed, the Jack Reacher book. So you can understand if I don't want to get too technical for my, big brain theme terms and stuff when I'm talking about a Jack Reacher book, which is not an insult to Jack Reacher, but let's be honest, it's not trying to be high, high literature. So yeah, let's just get into some of the issues I had. So I was trying to put I mentioned it in my review, some of the character motivations were a bit weird, and I just felt that I felt a little bit unsatisfied by the book at the end. I felt like it never really took me on the journey I was looking for, you know. And I was thinking about that in the last couple of days, and I was just thinking, like, why? Because it's interesting, when something fails and you can't figure out why. To me, it's an interesting topic. What went wrong, and if I was writing something, how would I avoid it? Or, although I can't write for shit, so let's just avoid that. But if you're writing something, maybe this will help. But so the themes explored in Blue Moon are sort of, so he introduces, I would say, two or three major themes. So or sort of issues that you as a reader would perhaps want resolved. So first you get introduced to a bunch of gangsters, and these guys are nasty, and you're like, okay, gangsters bad. Okay, we don't like gangsters, and therefore they must be punished in accordance with their gangsteriness. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is this fake news theme. So this dude is like spreading fake news, and you're like, okay, well, I don't like fake news. That's bad. This guy's gonna be punished for spreading fake news. So that's another thing. You're like, okay, let's resolve that. And then the third thing that's brought up is this how to describe it? This sexualization of women, abuse of women. So spoilers coming up, spoilers. So at one point, one of the characters was supposedly slapped a bunch of times, and then it was put on film and then uploaded to a porn site, and this is, very bad, and therefore we want that resolved as well. So, all three of these things are resolved by the end of the book. More spoilers, come on. You should have left by now, but if you're still here, spoilers. So basically, the way that all of these are resolved, all three of these things are resolved, is by killing people. Okay, so the gangsters, they get punished for their gangsteriness by being killed. And you're like, okay. And then the dude who's spreading fake news is killed. And then finally, the dude who filmed that porn video, or who, did the slapping thing, is killed. And then the guy who uploaded it is killed. And you're like, okay. So, nominally, all of your themes have been, all of your issues that you had have been resolved, and you're happy. Except, functionally, you're not really that happy, because just killing people doesn't really feel like an adequate, resolution to a problem. So, if you look at the gangsters, for example, right? He just kills every single one. All of them are just dead. And you're like, okay, well, did all of them deserve to die? Every single last one? You just sign up to a gang, maybe your family's in a gang or whatever, and you just sign up and then boom, you're just killed. And you're like, there's no resolution there. There's no like, oh, do they become better people or anything? They're just killed. And you're like, okay, well, they're gangsters, but there's no, you don't get any catharsis from it, I found. And then if you move on to a fake news theme, or issue, the dude who's spreading it is just killed, but you don't solve any the bigger problem, right? Because it's just one guy, and you don't really go anywhere with you don't explore the issue at all. He's just spreading fake news and he gets killed, and he's Russian, and you're like, okay, but the idea isn't explored any deeper. There's no discussion about how there's more people like him or what could be done about it or anything like that. He's just killed. And we also get this slightly weird idea that people who spread fake news deserve to die, which is sort of not really brought up too much. And I guess you could argue that the guy who's doing this did some other shady stuff, but he gets killed at the end. Like, Jack Reacher's like, oh yeah, I'll set you free if you know you deal with all this stuff. But he just kills him, and you're like, whoa, wait, this guy, like, he's an asshole for sure. But once again, they're just killing him. And then finally, perhaps the weirdest thing in the whole thing is the porn, like, slapping thing, which to me did not make a lot of sense, because everybody involved has just been killed. You're seeing a common theme here. There's just lots of people being killed. And I know you're like, what? But Mike, it's fucking, it's a Jack Reacher book. What are you expecting? But I just felt a little bit unsatisfied. I just felt like, these issues, they weren't explored enough to make me necessarily care, and then they were just resolved in the most, sort of easiest way. Like, if I was writing a story, right, and I was like, oh shit, I brought up all these issues, how could I solve them? I'll just kill them all, and I mean, that does solve them, right? And like, functionally, you can't argue with facts. But to me, it just didn't feel, by the end of a book, I finished a book, they're all dead, and I just didn't feel any real satisfaction. And honestly, I almost felt a little bit bad because all of these, like, because we didn't explore these issues, we didn't really establish why it's all so bad, and therefore we didn't really feel how bad these gangsters were, for example. And then they all get killed, and you're like, well, did they deserve it? They probably did, but it was never established why, you know? So, like, if you look at like most of them are like, bro, I just work here, and you're like, okay, well, it's a pretty shitty defense, but still, do you deserve to die? I don't know. See, I don't know. That was just, and then there were obviously the character motivation issues. I discussed it in my review, but yeah, that was just a little discussion of some of the issues I had surrounding the resolution of the issues within that book. So within Blue Moon by Lee Child. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time.